Welcome to Holme Horror. I've been waiting for you. Whispering Woods. It was supposed to be the story of a lifetime. Lisa Ortega, a determined documentary filmmaker, had spent months planning her latest project, uncovering the mystery of Black Pines Forest. The forest was infamous for its dark history, disappearances, mutilated animals, and whispers of a vengeful spirit known only as the Witch of Pines. Skeptics dismissed the tales as folklore, but Lisa had spent years chasing the truth behind local legends. She wasn't alone. Her crew consisted of Mark, her loyal cameraman, Tara, a paranormal enthusiast who had grown up on ghost stories, and Eric, a skeptical sound engineer who didn't believe in anything he couldn't explain with science. They set out early on a crisp autumn morning, armed with cameras, recording equipment, and supplies for a week. Their goal was to reach the heart of the forest and uncover its secrets. The first day was uneventful. The group hiked through dense woods, sunlight filtering through the canopy above. Birds chirped, and the sound of crunching leaves underfoot filled the air. Tara eagerly pointed out strange tree formations, which Eric dismissed as natural occurrences. "Not everything's a sign of ghosts," he said, rolling his eyes as he adjusted his gear. By evening, they reached a small clearing and set up camp. As night fell, the forest seemed to change. The air grew colder, and the once familiar sounds of wildlife disappeared, replaced by an unsettling silence. Around the fire, Lisa reviewed footage from the day. "Nothing groundbreaking yet," she admitted, scrolling through clips of trees and interviews. "Just wait," Tara said. "Black Pines doesn't show its teeth right away." Mark laughed nervously. "Let's hope it doesn't show them at all." Their banter was cut short by a low, distant hum. It was faint but unmistakable, like a droning whisper carried on the wind. "What the hell is that?" Lisa asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The group fell silent, straining to listen. The hum faded as quickly as it had come. Eric shrugged. "Probably just wind, or an animal." Tara wasn't convinced. That wasn't wind. It sounded alive. They brushed it off and retreated to their tents, but sleep came uneasily. The following morning, the group discovered strange symbols carved into the trees surrounding their camp, circles within circles, intersected by jagged lines, their edges rough and moss-covered as though they had been there for years. Tara traced one with her fingers. "These weren't here yesterday." "Come on," Eric said. "You're saying these just appeared overnight?" Lisa frowned. "Whether they did or didn't, it's worth documenting. Let's focus on finding more evidence." As they ventured deeper into the woods, the forest seemed to shift around them. Trails they had marked vanished, replaced by dense undergrowth. Familiar landmarks disappeared, and the map became useless. By afternoon, they realized they were lost. "This doesn't make sense," Lisa muttered, checking her GPS. The screen flickered erratically before going black. "Electronics don't just stop working," Eric said, tapping at his useless equipment. Mark raised his camera. "Mine's still working, for now. Let's not waste it." That night, the group set up camp near an ancient oak tree. Lisa suggested taking turns keeping watch, though none of them admitted they were too scared to sleep. At some point during the night, Eric heard whispers, soft and indistinct, like voices speaking just out of reach. He shook Lisa awake. "Do you hear that?" Lisa strained to listen. The whispers grew louder, overlapping in a chaotic chorus. They grabbed their flashlights and stepped into the darkness, scanning the trees. Shadows darted at the edge of their vision, too quick to follow. When the whispers stopped, they returned to camp, only to find Tara standing in the center of the clearing, staring at the oak tree. "Tara?" Lisa called, her voice trembling. Tara turned slowly, her eyes wide and unblinking. "She's here," she whispered. Lisa and Eric exchanged uneasy glances. Tara collapsed, unconscious. The next morning, Tara claimed not to remember anything from the night before. She seemed shaken but insisted on continuing. The group pressed on, though unease hung heavy in the air. By midday, they stumbled upon a clearing littered with bones. Animal remains lay scattered in intricate patterns, and at the center was a mound of dirt, topped with a crude wooden effigy. "We shouldn't be here," Tara said, her voice trembling. Lisa approached the effigy, recording its details. It was shaped like a woman with elongated limbs and a gaping hole where the face should have been. "Let's get this and move," Mark said, his voice tight. As Lisa zoomed in with her camera, the hum returned, louder this time and accompanied by a sensation of pressure, as though the forest itself were closing in. "Go!" Lisa shouted, and the group ran blindly into the woods. They stopped only when their legs gave out, collapsing against trees and gasping for air. When they finally looked around, they realized Eric was gone. "Eric," Lisa called, her voice echoing in the oppressive silence. Mark found Eric's headphones on the ground, twisted and covered in blood. "We need to go back," Mark said. "We can't leave him." But Lisa knew the truth. He's gone. That night, they sought shelter in an abandoned cabin they stumbled upon. The walls were covered in the same symbols they'd seen on the trees, etched deep into the wood. Tara found a journal on a dusty table. The journal chronicled the story of a woman accused of witchcraft centuries ago. Villagers had burned her alive, scattering her ashes in the forest. The final entry read, "She doesn't just kill, she consumes, and once you're marked, there's no escape." A loud bang interrupted their reading. The door shook violently as though something massive was on the other side. "Barricade it," Lisa yelled. They pushed furniture against the door, but it splintered under the weight of an unseen force. Shadows poured into the cabin like liquid smoke, coalescing into a grotesque figure. The creature's form was human-like but impossibly elongated, its limbs twisting unnaturally. Its face was a smooth void, featureless and terrifying. Tara screamed as the creature surged forward, its arms extending like tendrils. One wrapped around her neck, lifting her off the ground. Mark grabbed a broken chair leg and swung at the creature, but it passed through its form harmlessly. The creature tightened its grip, and Tara's body convulsed before going limp. Lisa and Mark fled into the woods, leaving Tara behind. They ran until they collapsed, panting and bloodied. The forest seemed alive now, its branches reaching for them, its roots twisting to trip them. Mark suddenly fell silent. Lisa turned to see him standing motionless, his eyes fixed on something in the distance. "What is it?" she asked, her voice breaking. Mark pointed to a tree. Hanging from its branches were human remains, limbs, torsos, and heads, strung up like grotesque ornaments. Before Lisa could react, the ground beneath Mark shifted. Black roots erupted from the soil, wrapping around his legs and pulling him down. "Lisa, help me!" he screamed, clawing at the earth. Lisa grabbed his arms, but the roots were too strong. They dragged him into the ground, his screams echoing as the soil closed over him. Alone now, Lisa stumbled through the woods, her mind racing. She reached a clearing where a massive tree stood. Its trunk was carved with symbols, and at its base lay a pile of bones. The hum returned, deafening now. Lisa turned to see the witch emerging from the shadows. The witch's face was a twisted mockery of humanity, her hollow eyes burning with malevolence. "You wanted the truth?" she hissed. "Now you'll join them." Lisa tried to run, but the ground turned to black tar, pulling her down. She screamed as the witch reached for her, her bony fingers closing around Lisa's throat. The forest was silent once more, save for the faint hum that marked its next victim. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more chilling stories. And remember, be careful. I'll be watching you.